Good afternoon. My name is Mark Lawrence. I'm a scientific director at the Institute for Advanced Sustainability Studies, the IASS in Potsdam, Germany. Our institute is a relatively young institute. We were founded 7 years ago, funded by the German state and federal governments to take on the issues of sustainability in a very holistic way, combining the best knowledge from academics with the knowledge that's available and the partners that are available in politics, civil society, and business.
How do you see the possibility of achieving the Paris Agreement goal of staying well below 2 degrees global warming?
Well, it is still possible for us to stay well below 2 degrees global warming, but this will require three things. First, a complete decarbonization by 2050, or if we want to stay well below 2 degrees, then well before 2050. That's pretty well known. Second, what's less well known is at the same time, we'll have to substantially reduce our emissions of soot, of methane, of ozone precursors, and of the HFCs, which are currently responsible for about half of the global warming. And third, depending on how long it takes us to get started with decarbonizing the economy, we may have to remove substantial amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, of the order of hundreds of gigatons. This is possibly to be done using technologies that are not yet proven, that have not yet been tested, that would take a huge infrastructure development, large investments to build them up to this scale, and with potential impacts on the environment and on societal sectors, such as on the agricultural sector, that we don't understand yet. Now, in addition to these, there's some discussion of the possibility of applying a number of techniques that have been considered for increasing the reflection of sunlight. These go under the name of solar climate geoengineering. Our knowledge about these at present is very poor, about the technology and about the sciences, but what we can say is that if we ever were to develop and want to deploy such techniques, developing the governance to do so fairly would probably be as difficult, if not more difficult, than the governance around implementing the Paris Agreement. And while I say it's possible for us to achieve the Paris Agreement goals, how likely it is depends on the willingness of our policymakers to adopt choices for large systemic changes in energy, in transportation, in the agriculture sector, and for people to be willing to find ways to make sustainability enjoyable, to make sustainability healthier, so that when they make choices that are in favor of environmental sustainability, those become sustainable choices. The IASS has several projects that are working in the realm of climate change. Most of our projects are working in a way that we call transdisciplinary, which is combining the best of knowledge from the academic world with policymakers, with civil society, and with business. Projects we have include looking at climate change governance, for instance, looking very directly at the Paris Agreement, how it came about and how it can be implemented. Being involved in climate action, for instance, our membership in the Climate and Clean Air Coalition and our participation in the UNFCCC Conferences of Parties. We also have projects looking at the relationship between air pollution and climate change for the reduction of the emissions of substances like black carbon and ozone, like I talked about before. And finally, we're working on this very controversial topic of climate engineering. Not only trying to understand what the potentials are, but especially looking at what the risks and what the uncertainties are, and how we could go about developing a good governance basis in the face of all of these uncertainties and risks. I hope from this COP22 that people will realize that we have a vast societal transformation, an environmentally driven societal transformation ahead of us. And that transformation will either come reactively, as we react to the impacts of climate change, and we chase after it to try to adopt, and we chase after it to try to mitigate, or it will come proactively, as we decide to actually follow our will to try to keep global temperatures under 2 degrees or well below 2 degrees over pre-industrial temperatures, and we proactively develop mitigation, and then we reduce the amount that we have to adapt in the end. In the end, I hope that this conference will bring us more information, scientific information together, and the inspiration that we need to make these choices, both at the highest political levels and also at the grassroots societal levels.